theory of computation. To share her expertise on theory of computation, we have with us Professor Dhanamala. Madam is having nearly more than 10 years of experience, and Madam area of interest is theory of computation, artificial intelligence, system programming, to name a few. I welcome you, ma'am, for this session. With this, I will hand over the session to you. You can take over the session, ma'am.
Okay. Good, good evening to everyone. This session we are going to discuss about the chapter Theory of Computation and Compiler. We get around 7 or 8 questions from the TOC question paper. We will try to solve at least 20 questions. If you have any queries, note it down. We can discuss at the end of the session. Now we will look into the syllabus. So Unit 8, Theory of Computation and Compilers. First, before going to the theory of computation, we will discuss about what is compiler. So the second part of the syllabus denotes all the phases of the compiler. So compiler is nothing but it converts high-level programming languages into machine language. Basically, it has 7 phases of a compiler. So the first phase is nothing but lexical analysis. So it reads the source program one character at a time, and it identifies the basic element that you can call it as token. So the output of the first phase is the input of the second phases of a compiler. So the second phase of compiler is nothing but it is a syntax analysis. It takes token as input and generate a parse tree as output. The third one is nothing but semantic analysis. It checks whether the parse tree follows the rules of languages. The fourth phase is runtime system. So it is used for storage allocations. It allocates the dynamic and the static storage allocation. The fifth phase is nothing but intermediate code generation. So here we are going to generate the code for the expressions. Okay, so it is generated between the high level language and the machine language. Here we are going to generate the 3 address code. The next phase is nothing but code generation and code optimization. Here it is used to improve the intermediate code so that the output of the program could be run faster and take less spaces. So all the 7 phases of a compiler here we are discussing. The next one is nothing but theory of computation. So if you go for the theory of computation is nothing but is a branch of computer science that deals with how efficiently the problem can be solved on a model of computation using an algorithm. Mainly, it is divided into 3 branches. First one is nothing but automata, theory and languages. Second one is nothing but computability theory. The third one is nothing but complexity theory. So first automata theory is nothing but it deals with definition and properties of the mathematical model of the computation. Example, you can take finite automata, context-free grammar, Turing machine. These are all the examples of finite automata theory. Classifies the problems or solvable, unsolvable. So it's certain basic problems cannot be solved by the computer, that you can call it as computability theory. So example for computability theory is nothing but the problem of determining whether a mathematical statement is true or false. The third one is nothing but complexity theory. So complexity theory deals with computer problems comes in a different variety. It may be easy problem or sometimes it may be hard problem. Example, sorting problems we can solve easily. When you go for scheduling problem, it seems to be much harder than the sorting problem. These are the three branches that deals with theory of computation. So the next here, the regular language model, if you take, so deterministic finite automata, non-deterministic finite automata. If you take one finite machine, finite state machine, so you are supposed to tell about whether the machine is accepted or rejected. For example, if you take a string A, so you're supposed to construct a machine for that particular string. So if you give input A, so the machine will accept. Suppose when you're giving input BA, the machine will reject. So deterministic finite automata, non-deterministic finite automata, and we are going to discuss about the regular grammars and regular expression. Next one, context-free language. So when you're discussing about the context-free languages, push-down automata, Turing machine. Push-down automata deals with stack concept. Turing machine deals with tape concept. It consists of an infinite length tape divided into cell on which input is given. In push-down automata, it will accept the context-free grammar, but the concept that you are using here is stack concept. The next one is Chomsky normal form. So this is the basic hierarchy of classes of the formal languages. So here grammar is divided into five types. Type 0 is nothing but unrestricted grammar. So in this unrestricted grammar, Turing machine is the one example for unrestricted grammar. There is no restriction on the grammar rules of this type of language. Before going to this, first we should know what is grammar. So grammar, if you take, you are supposed to frame the rules to get the string. For example, here I mentioned the examples here. Here, the type 0 is in the form of alpha production beta. That means left hand side and right hand side you have a rules. So alpha is nothing but left hand side, beta is nothing but right hand side. So how you will frame the rules is nothing but always S is the start symbol. SAB here denotes SAB. S is the start symbol. Okay. Now SAB is the small terms that you are using here. That is lowercase letter denotes terminal. S is nothing but non-terminal. AB is nothing but terminal. That means non-terminal means you are able to derive the string. AB is nothing but terminal, that you are not able to derive it. For further derivation, you are not able to derive it. SAB. So whenever your grammar gets this SAB, you can substitute the element BA. For A, you can substitute the value yes. That means left hand side of the production, definitely you should get one non-terminal followed by the terminals. Type 1 in the form is nothing but context sensitive grammar. So context sensitive grammar is nothing but it may have more than one symbol on the left hand side of their rules. The number of symbol on the left hand side must be less than the right hand side. So here the normally when you are having See, when you are having S production, single non-terminal you are having. Right hand side, there is no condition. The combination of both terminal and non-terminal you should have in the right hand side. But when you are having left hand side, definitely you should have a less than the right hand side production. The third one is nothing but type 2 grammar. It is known as context-free grammar. That means left hand side of the production should be single non-terminal, but there is no restriction on the right hand side of the production. That means left hand side you must have only single non-terminal. Right hand side of the production it contains both terminal and non-terminal, and in case epsilon also you can use it. Next one, type 3 is nothing but regular grammar. It all the languages are exactly accepted by this kind of grammar. That means left hand side you have variable, right hand side variable, terminal, that means non-terminal, terminal, and the star denotes epsilon. That means in your grammar you can use the epsilon productions. So this is the hierarchy classes of the formal languages. The first phase denotes Turing machine. The next one is nothing but context sensitive grammar. Third one is nothing but context free grammar. Fourth one is nothing but regular grammar. The next one, before going to solve the problems, the basic terminologies that you are using in the theory of computation, first we will discuss. First one, the basic terminology that you are using in the theory of computation, the basic terms. The first one is nothing but symbols. Symbols is nothing but, it is an individual letter you can say. It may be alphabet, or numbers, or any special characters. Alphabet is nothing but is a finite non-empty set of symbols. That means a summation is used to denote an alphabet. For example, summation is equal to 0, 1. It may be summation is equal to, inside the bracket you can write A, comma, B also, and special characters also. Languages is nothing but is a set of strings obtained from summation star. That means summation is a set of alphabets of a particular language. If L is a language, then you can easily say that L is a subset of summation star. Here, for example, it consists of equal number of zeros and ones. Here, if you see this one, here the input symbol that you are using is zeros and ones. There is no language here. Suppose if you want to find odd number of A's and odd number of B's, that means odd number of A's and even number of B's. That means odd number of A's means the input is single A, even number of B means output is input is B, B. So here the combination of that you are supposed to write here. So empty languages is denoted by epsilon. String is a finite sequence of symbols from alphabet. This is the string that you are derived from the alphabet. So 0, 1, 1 is a string from the alphabet. That means summation is equal to 0, 1. So with the help of 0, 1, you can generate the finite sequence of symbols. The next, the most important one is clean closure and clean positive. So clean closure is nothing but here that means star denotes clean closure. That means your string is accepted the null string. It includes epsilon. clean positive is nothing but it accept null string. You are supposed to not supposed to use the null string. So clean closure, summation star. See here, summation star is equal to 0 union summation 1 union summation 2 is a set of words of any length with null string. For example, this is the input alphabets that you are having. Summation is equal to 0 comma 1 is the input. Then summation star is generated by epsilon. That means it includes null string. The set of strings contains what? Zeros and ones of any length, which includes null string. Clean positive is nothing but except in null string, we are supposed to generate the string 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, etc. The next one is finite automata. So the machine you're supposed to construct now. So whatever input that you are giving, your machine should accept. According to your input only, you're just going to construct a machine. So the tool terminology that you are using for constructing a machine is states and transition. Circle denotes states and transition means you are just giving input. You should transfer the input from one state to another state. That indicates what? Arrows. So states denotes circle, arrow denotes the transition. Example of finite automata. So this arrow marks indicates the start symbol and this double circle indicates the final state. For example, when your input is then. So first input you are giving is T. So the machine accepted this input. The next input that you are giving is hash. It will move to the next state. The next input that you are giving is E. It will go to the next state. And the last input that you are going to give is N. Then you reach the final state. So this machine will accept only the input string. Then suppose if you are giving the input string, if the machine will not accept it, the machine will reject it. So you are constructing the machine for the input then. Now we will go to the problem. The first one is finite state machine given in the figure below recognized. So already we discussed about circle denotes the states and double circle denotes the end state, final state. So to move from one machine to another machine, so you need a transition state. So when you give input A, it will go to the next state. Okay, so here the four possible outputs given. The first one is nothing but any string of odd number of A. That means any string of odd numbers of A. For example, if you give the machine input strings A, B, okay, so the machine should accept the any strings of odd numbers of A. So for example, if you give input A, so the machine will, this is the start state, you are giving input A, so the machine will, you are just moving to the next state. Okay, there is no final state, so the first option is wrong. First option is wrong. For example, it will be clear for you now when you give the states. Okay, so when now the first state, you are giving input A, it will reach to the second state. So now the first answer is non. Any string of odd number of A's. Once again, you just try A. So A, then again you can give the input A. So your answer is 2A. 2A. So odd number of A's. Second one, any string of odd number of B's. So any string of odd number of B's. So in this first state, if you give input B, it will go to the state third, and the next state when you are giving input B, it will go to the first state. So first state is not a final state. If you once again, if you give input A, it will go to the next state 2. So the second output also wrong. Second one also wrong. Any string of odd number of B's. The third one is any string of even number of A's and odd number of B's. That means your input is any string of even number of A's. For example, even number of A's 2 A's and odd number of B's. So you just whenever you are just solving like this kind of problem, you have to take a string and then you are supposed to apply it. So odd number, even number of A's and odd number of B's. For example, now first state when you are giving input A, it will go to the second state. Once again, the next input which I am reading is A. Once again, I am just giving input A. It will go to the first state. The next input I am reading is B. So now again from here, it will reach here. Okay. So the next input that you are going to read is A. Okay, so the next input you are going to read is A. It will go to the final state, but your output is wrong. So now any string of even number of A's and odd number of B's. So the third choice also wrong. The fourth one is nothing but any string of odd number of A's and odd number of B's. Okay, so now any string of odd number of A's and odd number of B's. That means your input string should be 1A and BBB. The next possible, first we will try this one. When you are giving input A, start state, from it will move from first state to second state. Then again, the input read is B. So again, you are moving to the final state. The next input string that you are scanning is B. Once again, it will go to the second state. The next one more time, because it is not a final state, again, you are supposed to read the input string B. So it will reach the final state. So your output is correct. So another possible input also you can try A, 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 B, A, B, B, B. So odd number of A's and odd number of B's. So now when you are giving input A, so it will reach the second state. One more time you are giving input A, it will go to the first state. Once again you are giving the input A. So it satisfied triple A. From second state you are giving input B, and again you are giving input B, again you are giving input B. The next it reaches the final state. So your answer is any string of odd number of A's and odd number of B's. So the finite state machine will accept any string of odd number of A's and odd number of B's. So the machine is constructed only for odd number of A's and odd number of B's. Second one, second problem. Given a non-deterministic finite automata with states P and R as initial and final state respectively, and transition table as given below. So here a number of states that you are using here is P, Q, R, S. Four number of states you are using. A and B is the input symbols that you are using. So here the minimum number of states required in deterministic finite automata is equivalent to NFA is here. So the non-deterministic finite automata is given. You are supposed to find out in deterministic finite automata number of states that you are using. So you can use conversion of NFA to DFA. Here the number of states that you are using is P, Q, R and S. So first one, if you take this one, P, the input, so the start state of the, so now deterministic DFA, you don't have any start state now. So you DFA, you don't have a start state. So here if you have a start state P is a start state, so you don't have the input A, but you have only the input P. So DFA, nothing, you don't have any state. So in that case, you are supposed to consider the start state of NFA is the start state of DFA. So now here P is the start state. So P is the start state of the DFA. Is the start state of a DFA. Now you are supposed to traverse Q0 delta. That means first you are supposed to traverse from delta n. So now you don't have any state in the DFA. So you are supposed to construct the deterministic finite automata. Now delta n, that means delta is nothing but the transition that you are using. Delta n is equal to P of P is the state that you are using, comma, the input is nothing but A. So E is equal to delta D. Okay, sorry. Delta D is nothing but transition of deterministic finite automata when the input is A. That means you have only one start state. So in the input state P, if you are giving input A is equal to which machine you are supposed to check? Non-deterministic finite automata machine you are supposed to check. Delta N P comma A. That means you don't have any input here. Your answer is 5. So like that, for all, each and every step you are supposed to check. The next one, delta D P comma B. That means instead of A, if your input is B, that means in delta N is nothing but in non-deterministic finite automata, if your state is P, when you are giving input B, it will go to the which state it will go to? It will go to the Q state. It will go to the Q state. Like that you are supposed to go for the transition. See now here, see here, start state of NFA is the start state of DFA. Q0D is nothing but the start state of a DFA is equal to P when input is A. That means when you are giving input A, delta D P comma A is equal to transition of non-deterministic finite automata P comma A. So your output is there is no state there. So that is means you are just pi empty. They are not giving any input. The next one, delta D P comma B is equal to. That means in each state, when the input is B equal to non-deterministic finite automata P comma B. That means you are going to the next state Q. So now Q0D is equal to, already you have a P state you added. The next new state that you are getting is Q. The next one, for P, both input A and B you given, and you just have a result Q. The next new state that you have in the deterministic finite automata is Q. So delta D Q comma A is equal to delta N Q comma A. That means in Q state, if you are giving input A, it will go to the, which state it will go? The next state, that is R state, it will go. The same way in Q state, when you are giving input B, it will go to the next state, that means S state. So these two states is not already there in the deterministic finite automata. So you are supposed to add this states. Now for this R and S, again you are supposed to give input A and B. So now in R comma A, that means in R state, if you give input A, it will go to R state. Here in R state, if you give input B, it will go to which state it is? S state. The next one, the same way, R and S is the result. Here there is no more state to add it. So your resulting output of the DFA is states input A and input B. So the number of states that you are using in the deterministic finite automata is 4 states you are using: P, Q, R and S. So your answer is 4. Example, the definition of deterministic finite automata, DFA, you are having DFA is nothing but deterministic finite automata is 5 tuples. M is equal to Q summation. Q is nothing but number of states that you are using. Summation is nothing but input alphabet. Delta is nothing but transition. Q0 is a start state and F is a final states. Now here the transition functions that you are using is, so first one, finite set of state means P, Q, R, S. In the problem we discussed, the number of states that you are using is P, Q, R and S. The input symbols that we are using in that machine is A comma B. The transition function is delta, which is mapping from states into alphabet. That means P comma A is equal to, you are just moving to the next state. That means in the state P, when you are giving input A, it is moving to the next state, that is Q. So now starting state is Q0 and the final state. So the conversion of NFA to DFA, what we discussed in that problem, the conversion. So the start state of NFA is the start state of DFA. So here the two machines here we are going to see. The first one, whatever string is accepted by the NFA, the same thing should be equivalent to the DFA. That means machine non-deterministic finite automata, you have a 5 tuples, accept the language L of n. you should prove that there is an equivalent DFA. MD is equal to 5 tuples such that L of MD is equal to L of MN. That means the start state of NFA is the start state of DFA, because initial state there is no start state in the DFA. So start state of NFA is the start state of DFA. So transition for each input symbol. So delta D, Qi, Qj, that's what we discussed, P comma A. You are just going to see which machine you are seeing, non-deterministic finite automata, your result is here. The same thing, if it is already there in the QD, that means P is already there in the Q, you no need to add it. If you get any new state, you are supposed to add it. Till you reach the last state, you are supposed to solve this one. The third one is, consider the following two grammars as production, SBS or A. So the first one, before going to the grammar, first one S is G1 and G2. So G1 and G2 is nothing but grammar 1 and grammar 2. So grammar 1 and grammar 2. S production, SBS. S is nothing but non-terminal and B is nothing but terminal. B is nothing but terminal. S is nothing but non-terminal or A production. Grammar 2, S production. A is a terminal, B is a non-terminal or A, B. Next production, A production, GAB or A, B production, ABP or B. Now, the first one, before going to this first one, you are supposed to check whether your grammar is ambiguous or not. So first we should check what is mean by ambiguous. Ambiguous is nothing but when you are applying this grammar. For example, S production, SBS. Now for S, you can substitute for S, you can substitute A, then your result will be ABS. Then again for S, you can substitute, you are getting a string ABA. Okay, so first grammar is SBS or A. So now once again, the same production you can apply it in a different way. S, B, S. You have first I applied for this as A. First I applied because it is a leftmost derivation and rightmost derivation. We are supposed to check leftmost and rightmost derivation in the sense when you are applying a production, first you have to apply in the leftmost derivation. First you should apply this as and this one. Rightmost derivation in the sense first you are supposed to apply this one, then next, then next, like that it is keep on going. So now the first one I applied leftmost derivation for this string. So the next one is rightmost derivation. That means S, B. For this A, I am just going to substitute A. The next one, for this S, I am going to substitute A, B, A. So your result, the two strings you are getting. That means for one string, you are supposed to get the two different parse tree. For example, see, yes, yes, B, yes, okay. So the first time I applied leftmost derivation A. The next time I applied rightmost derivation. Okay, so that means you are having a two leftmost derivation. So that means your grammar is ambiguous. That means for one string you are supposed to get a two different kind of parse tree. Okay, so the next one, for S production A B or AB comma A production GAB or A B production ABP or P. Okay, so B R B. So now you are supposed to substitute the grammar for this. So now S if you take. So now if you take S production A B, for B, I am just going to substitute B. So it is the first derivation. Okay, so the next one you are supposed to take directly as S production A B. So two different strings that you are getting. The first one you are supposed to apply A and B. For B you are substituting B. The next one you are getting S production AB. Directly you are getting a two strings. So for this you are supposed to draw a graph parse tree. So that means S production A B B, one parse tree. The same thing, same expression is A B. Okay, so for one string you are getting a two different parse tree. So you can say that both G1 and G2 are ambiguous. So what is ambiguous and what is not ambiguous is nothing but, so ambiguous is nothing but, for you can apply for one string, you can apply for both leftmost derivation or rightmost derivation to get the same string, but you are have more than different types of parse tree. That means it generates the two different kinds of parse tree. Then that grammar is ambiguous grammar. Okay, so only G1 is ambiguous, that answer is wrong. Only G2 is ambiguous is wrong. Both G1 and G2 are ambiguous. That's what here in the explanation. The grammar is said to be an ambiguous if we can generate more than one parse for the same given string. So here both the grammar G1 and G2 are ambiguous. Ambiguous. So now the definition for grammar is a four tuple or quadruple consists of the following. Grammar G is equal to variable, terminal, production, start symbols, where V is a set of non-terminals. Non-terminals in the sense capital symbols, capital letter. That means you are able to derive the string. T is nothing but is a set of terminals, that is you are not able to further derive it. That means you are having a small letter A, B, that you are not able to further derive it. Capital letter means what? It is a non-terminal. You can call it as a variable. P is nothing but set of rules called production. So to get a string, you are for having what? Set of rules that you are following. That means P is a set of rules called production. S is a start symbol. So ambiguous and unambiguous grammar is nothing but, so ambiguous grammar is a context-free grammar for which there exists a string that can have more than one leftmost derivation or more than one rightmost derivation with different parse trees. Unambiguous grammar is a context-free grammar for which every valid string has a unique leftmost derivation or parse tree. The next one, the fourth question is, to obtain a string of terminals from a given Chomsky normal form. The number of productions to be used is 2n power minus 1, 2n, then 2n power minus 1, 2n, n plus 1, n square. So now here 2n power minus 1. That means your answer is according to the Chomsky normal form. So the direct answer according to the Chomsky normal form, your answer is 2 power n minus 1. N is nothing but the length of strings that you are using. So to get a string, it requires 2 power n minus 1. The next one, definition of Chomsky normal form. It has only one production of the form. That means A production BC. So normally Chomsky normal form denotes A is a non-terminal production, B and C is nothing but non-terminal. Left hand side one non-terminal and right hand side two non-terminals. Then that you can call it as Chomsky normal form. Exactly, it should be two non-terminals, or you can call it as left hand side one non-terminal, left hand side non-terminal, and right hand side one terminal. So these two kinds of production is called as Chomsky normal form. Here, push down automata can recognize the language generated by only context-free grammar, only regular grammar, context-free grammar or regular grammar, only context-sensitive grammar. So push-down automata implements both context-free grammar and the or regular grammar. The example, the definition of push-down automata, PDA is a 7 tuples, M is nothing equal to is a machine, Q is a state, summation is nothing but input alphabets, T is nothing but to, delta is nothing but transition, Q0 is nothing but start state, Z0 is the symbol stack, F is nothing but final state. So Q is the final state. Summation is the input alphabet. To is a set of alphabets that you are using in the stack. Transition function. Delta is nothing but transition function. Q0 is nothing but start state. Z0 is the initial symbol on the stack. F is nothing but final state. Next one, context sensitive language can be recognized by linear bounded automata, finite state machine, deterministic finite automata, non-deterministic finite automata, linear bounded automata. So context sensitive language is supported by linear bounded automata. Now, the set A is equal to 0 power n, 1 power n, 2 power n, such that n is equal to 1, 2, 3 is an example of grammar. That means, so this is the example of which grammar? Context sensitive grammar or context free grammar or regular grammar? None of the above. So here 0 power n, 1 power n and 2 power n. That means 0 power 2, 1 power 2 and 2 power 2. So you are supposed to compare what? Compare the strings 0 power n, 1 power n and 2 power n. You need a different kinds of stacks to compare this. So the context sensitive grammar is the one of the supports the stack concept. That means push down automata. So 0 power n, 1 power n, 2 power n is an example of a grammar that is context sensitive grammar. The next one, bottom-up parser generates leftmost derivation in reverse, rightmost derivation in reverse, leftmost derivation, rightmost derivation. According to the definition, bottom-up parser generates the rightmost derivation in the reverse. Now, which of the following statement is true? The grammar S production, S is the grammar, S production, SS, or A is ambiguous, where S is the start symbol. That means the grammar S production is, that means it consists of two non-terminals. S production, SS, you can substitute for what S is, A, you will get a result. So the grammar is ambiguous, you can say. The next one is the grammar S production 0, 1, 0, S 1 or 0, 1 S or epsilon is ambiguous. That means, so here with the special symbol epsilon represents the empty strings and S is the start symbol. Okay, so now this also you are supposed to check with whether the grammar is ambiguous or not. So the first one we will check with S production, SS production, SS production. For S rightmost derivation, for S I am substituting A. The next for S, AA is the first. For S I am going to substitute SS A. The next again I am going to substitute SAA, then your result is AAA. Okay, so the next one one more production, the same production, you have to check whether it is ambiguous or not. Is production SS. Again I'm just going to substitute A S, then again for rightmost derivation. So the first one I'll just apply for leftmost derivation. The next time I'm just applying for the rightmost derivation. So AS. Now I'm going to substitute for S, A, S, S. Next, that for once again, I'm going to substitute A, S, A. Then once again, I am just going to substitute A, A. So here applied, I applied two leftmost and rightmost derivation. So you are getting the string A. So the first grammar is ambiguous grammar. The second one, the grammar S production 0, S1 or 0, 1 S, epsilon is ambiguous. The special symbol epsilon represents the empty string and S is the start symbol. So here if you take S production 0, S 1, so now substitute S production 0, S 1. So for S, I am substituting epsilon. So now here the result is 0, 1. The next one for S production. So the next one you are having is 0, 1 S. So 0, 1 S. For S, I am substituting what? Epsilon. So your result is 0, 1. So you are getting a same string with different, when applying different rules, you are getting a same in the strings. So then this grammar is ambiguous. G1 and G2 is ambiguous. Now here the grammar where S is the start symbol, S production, terminal or U. That means T capital 2 / U. So you are having a set of production, T production, X, capital S, Y or XY or epsilon. So U Production Y capital T generate a language consisting of string Y X X Y Y. So now you are supposed to get a string Y X X Y Y. So now you are supposed to derive a string S production capital U. So now for you can substitute the string Y and capital T. Then to get the string YXXYY, you can substitute for T, you can substitute for T, you can substitute X, S, Y. Okay. Then once again for S, you can substitute T. For S, you can substitute T, Y. Once again, for T, you can substitute Y, Y, X, Y, you can substitute. So you are getting a result Y, X, X, Y, Y. So here it's all the first two is ambiguous and third one you're generating a string Y, X, X, Y, Y. So the answer is all of 1, 2 and 3 are true. So here the answer is 1, 2 and 3. So you can generate the more than one parse tree for a single string. So the next one is the logic of pumping lemma is an example of iteration, recursion, divide and conquer principle. So here the pumping lemma is an example for pigeonhole principle. That means n pigeon. That means m objects that you are having. That means state if there are n pigeon flies into m hole, that is n greater than m. That means at least one hole, more than one pigeon should be there. For example, if you are having a 6 boxes and 7 doors, so each boxes one pigeon will be there. One boxes more than one pigeon will be there. So this is the pigeonhole principles that you are using in the pumping lemma concept. Next one, mathematical max description. So descriptions of several part of a classic optimizing compiler in list 1 with the names of those part. So part of a compiler. So part of a compiler that is responsible for recognizing syntax. So here first one, part of a compiler that is responsible for recognizing a syntax is nothing but parser. The next one, part of a compiler that takes as input a stream of characters and produces a output of stream of words along with their associated synthetic properties, associated synthetic categories. That means you can call it as scanner. The third one, part of a compiler that understand the meaning of variable names and other symbols and checks that they are used in way consistent with their definition. So that means it is a semantic analysis. You are in semantic analysis part, you are going to check their languages and the rules. And intermediate representation to intermediate representation transformers that tries to improve the intermediate representation program in some way. That is nothing but code optimization. So part of a compiler is responsible for recognizing syntax. Syntax means we are using parser, but you are constructing the parser tree structure. Parse tree we are going to construct in the parser. So we are going to construct the parser, the part of a compiler that takes an input a stream of characters and produce output a stream of words along with their associated synthetic categories. That means your just produce output means scanner. It scans the input from left to right. The next one, the lexical analyzer parts, you are scanning the input and the output will be sent to the synthetic analyzer. So part of a compiler that understand the meaning of variable names and other symbols, checks that they are used in way consistent with their definition. That means semantic analysis, you are checking the rules of the language, whether that is used properly or not. Intermediate representation is nothing but to improve the code you are using, optimization. So answer A is the correct one. The next one, which of the following is false? Now, so here the grammar is production AS or ASBS epsilon, where S is the only non-terminal symbols and epsilon is the null string for ambiguous. So now ambiguous, the first one is S production AS or ASBS or epsilon, where S is the only non-terminal that you are using. Yes, according to this production, only S is the non-terminal you are using and null string that you are using. So you are saying it is ambiguous. The next one, unambiguous grammar has same left and rightmost derivation. The condition is false. Ambiguous grammar has same left and rightmost derivation. Then ambiguous grammar can never be L of R of K for any K. Recursive descent parser is a top-down parser. So the answer wrong is unambiguous grammar has same left and rightmost derivation. So consider the following identities for regular expression. So now regular expression, R plus S star is equal to S plus R star. So according to the regular expression, so star denotes it contains epsilon string. Star denotes it means it includes the epsilon. So R plus star is equal to S plus R star. That means so R or S. R star star is equal to R star. This condition also true. R star S star, the whole star is equal to R plus S star. So here also the condition is true. R S star, here it will be R S star. So the following, this A, B and C are true. So now here it is. So R plus S star will generate any string containing the combination of R or S. That means R plus S star, you can call it as what? S plus R star. Okay. R star star is nothing but it generates a string containing R. It can be easily drawn and it also supports the regular expressions. R star. R star S star star will generate any string containing or S or both. So we can draw DFU also. So it is also regular expression. So all the options are true. So this is the definition of regular expression. Epsilon is a regular expression. It indicates the language containing an empty string. That means L of epsilon is equal to epsilon. Pi is a regular expression denoting an empty language. That means you don't have any language in the set. X is a regular expression where L is equal to x. X is a regular expression denoting, so regular expression satisfies these three conditions. That means x plus y dot y and the star. So x plus y is a regular expression. That means if you are going for union. Dot means what? X is followed by y. R star is nothing but the number of times the loop will be executed. But means what? It includes the null string. So these are all the examples of regular expression. Set of strings consisting of A star B star B. That means set of string consisting of even number of A's followed by odd number of B's. That means, so here B, even number of A's followed by odd number of B's. 1 star. That means set of string consisting of even number of ones. Here the star denotes it includes empty string. So here A plus B whole star. That means set of strings of A's and B's of any length. It includes null string. So A, AB, AAA, ABB, etc. If all the productions rules have a single, next question, if all the production rules have a single non-terminal symbol on the left hand side, the grammar is defined as a context-free grammar. That means I already told you, left hand side only single non-terminal. That means S production, A, B. So left hand side it contains only single non-terminal, then that you can call it as a context-free grammar. Now here given grammar S1C, given a grammar S1 production SC, comma, the next production is production A or A, comma, A production A, S, B or A, B. There is a rightmost derivation S1 production SC is equal to SAC equal to SASBC. So SASBC is a right sentential form. So whether it is a SBC, that means this one, what you are having is SASBC, whether that you are using a right sentential form and it is handled is SAS. Suppose if you have a grammar S1 production S C, the next one for S you are applying S A SAC. So the next one for A, when you are applying for A, yes, A, yes, B and C. So for this A, you are applying ASB. So it is a right sentential form. Answer is ASB. Okay. So the next one, given the following grammar G1, given the following grammar G1, S production AB or AAB. So A production AA or epsilon and B production, B is a terminal, capital B is non-terminal or epsilon. The second grammar that you are given is S production A or B, A production A A, B or AB, B production, AB, capital B or epsilon. Which of the following is correct? So the first one is G1 is ambiguous and G2 is unambiguous grammar. So for example, if you take S production A, B, A, B, the next one for A you can apply A, A, for A you can apply AB, AA. The next one, once again, for A, you can apply A, A, AAB. The next one, for A, you can apply epsilon now. Then your result is when you are applying epsilon, AA, B. Then for B, you can apply A, A, B. So the first one is over. The same set of symbols. So S production A, sorry, A, B. So now for B you can apply A, B. So the first one is ambiguous grammar. The second one also, when you are taking S production G2, so S production A or B. So when you are taking A, so if you substitute for A, you will get A, A, B. Then for A, you can substitute the value for A, you can substitute A, B. B. The same way when you are applying here for B, so S production B, for B you can apply A, B, B. Here I made a mistake. So instead of that one, you can apply it here as a B. Okay, then you will get a result as A, B, A, B. So here if you apply a summation, your result is here it is as A, B. Here instead of that A, if I apply epsilon here, the result you are getting is A, B. So here I made a mistake. S production A. So for A, I am applying A, B. Then for A, I am just applying epsilon. You are getting A, B. So both the results are correct. So both G1 and G2 are ambiguous grammar. So here the explanation is mentioned clearly. So if you have a G1 grammar, so your result is AAB, the first one, the second one also AAB, because you are getting a two different way string. So here also, if you take A, directly or substituting AB, For B, you are substituting the B, A, B. So the two ways, first way is you are getting the string A, B. The second way, when you are deriving, you are getting another string is A, B. So both the grammars are ambiguous grammar. So here the same grammar G1 and G2, it is mentioned clearly. G1 is equal to S production AB, AAB. So the first string that you are deriving is AAAB. The second string that you are deriving is AAB. So your grammar is ambiguous. The second string, when you are taking this AB, so the first output you are getting is AB. Another string, when you are deriving, you are getting AB. So G2 is ambiguous. We can generate the same string by the two different ways. Okay. So now the language of all non-null strings of A's and B's is defined by a context-free grammars as follows. So S production AS or SA is or A. So the word A3 can be generated by how many different parse trees that you can generate it. So the first one, if you take S production, so S production A, so A S. So here your result is, here it is clearly mentioned that word A3. A3 is nothing but A, A, A. So A3 can be generated by different number of parse trees. So S production AS. So the first for S, you are just applying once again AS. Your result is A, A. Your result is A, A, A. So the next one, S production A, AS. So now for S, I am substituting S, A. Now your result is A, A, A. The third one, so you are having S production A, AS. S production, yes, A. For S, I am substituting A, yes, A. Then your result is A, A, A. So once again, yes, production, yes, A. For S, I am substituting yes, A, 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 A. Okay, so four different types of derivations we are getting. So first I'm applying AS and leftmost and rightmost. For S I'm substituting AS. For this S I'm substituting SA. The next one S production SA. For S I'm substituting AS. For the next time when I'm taking S, for I'm just substituting SA. So now from this we come to know that you can get a four different types of parse tree. So now we will just look. Yes, so you are having a terminals A. Next one, yes. So for S, you are substituting again A and yes. Then A. So this is a one kind of different parse tree. The same thing if you apply, you will get a 4 different types of parse tree. So for this also I will derive it. Yes. Yes. A. So for this I'm substituting. Yes. A. So 4 different types of parse tree you will get. For this true, I draw the diagram. So the remaining two also you will get a different parse tree. So the language of all non-string of A's can be defined by a context-free grammar. So the word A can be generated by the 4 different parse trees. So this is the way that here it is. So AS production, AS A will be generated. So 4 different kinds of parse trees. So the option C is the correct one. The next one, the context-free grammar is given by S production XYX, X production AX or BX or lambda Y is equal to B E D. It generates the language which is defined by the regular expressions. Now, first one, X, Y, Z. So, here, if you take X, Y, Z, for X, you can substitute AX. For Y, you can substitute BBB. For X, you can substitute BX. So, the first one, if you take A plus B whole star, that means so here A plus B whole star B B B. Okay. So now for AX plus B means what? Here for example, yes, if you take S production X Y Y, Z. For X, you can substitute AX or BX. So according to this regular expression, so everywhere it starts with A. So now you just substitute AX. AX. Okay. For X, you can substitute AX or you can substitute BX. That means for X, you can replace by A plus B whole square. Okay, A plus B whole square. That means here we are using lambda. So for X, you can either substitute AX or you can substitute BX, including null string. That means already we discussed clean closure. That means it includes null string. So you can write like this statement of regular expression A plus B whole square. So X is equal to A plus B whole square. Next one, Y. Y is nothing but, so you can substitute the value B, B, B. That means Y value you can substitute as B, B and D. So the first one is B, AX B whole square followed by B. The next one is again you have the next one is nothing but you have a X value. So X value. So X value again you have what? A plus B whole square. So first one is
Vanamalan ma'am.
yes ma'am.
You please check whether your audio is Maybe audible or not, because for me it's breaking. Voice is breaking. You please check with the other participants.
Now clear?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello.
See, for me, it is some disturbance is there. Maybe for the participants. Okay, fine. It's fine. It seems. You continue
Now
now.
it is
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
It's fine. Carry on.
Uh,
Carry on.
Hello. So now, so S production X, Y, Z. So first one for X, how you are getting A plus B whole square, I told you. So AX or BX, that means either you can go with AX or you can go with BX. That means A plus B. Here it denotes lambda, that means epsilon. So that means null string, a clean closure. So in your regular expression, so whenever you are having A plus B whole star, it denotes n number of times you can repeat A plus B. It includes null string also. Then y is equal to b, b, b. That means, so here the value directly that you are taking is y, b, b. So the last one you are having is x. So already we have x, a plus b whole square. So your answer C is correct. A, B and D are wrong. So this what it is clearly mentioned here as production X, Y, Z. For X, you can either apply AX or BX or lambda. Lambda here denotes epsilon empty string. That is A plus B whole square. So Y is equal to B, B, B. So you can easily say that S production A plus B whole star B, 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 A plus B whole star. So the next one is minimum deterministic finite automata for the language L. That means here it denotes 0 power n. Minimal deterministic finite automata for the language L is equal to 0 power n, such that n is greater than or equal to 0, n is not equal to 4. That means you have 0 power n, 1 you can, n value should be greater than 0. That means your result you can take it as 0 power 1. The next one 0 power 2, 0 power 3, n is not equal to 4. That means 0 power 5, etc. Okay, so for this, we'll have the language is mentioned here. 0 power n means 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, etc. Here the condition states that n should be greater than 0 or n is not equal to 4. That means n value is not equal to 4. So here the option is 1 final state among 5 states, 4 final states among 5 states, and 1 final state among 6 states, 5 final states among 6 states. So now we will construct the finite automata. So the answer here is 5 final state among 6 states. Here, see this diagram. So here start state is the final state. So according to this question, so 0 power n, I told you it may be 0, 1 or 0 power 2 means 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 3 zeros, but it should not have 4 zeros, but it may have 5 zeros. So I construct a machine start state and the final state, because if I have an input 1, 0, so it will go to this one and you will stop the problem. So the next one, if I have a 2 input zeros, then you need how many states you need? 3 states you need. The first state is a start state. You are giving input 0, it will go to the next state, and again we are giving input 0, it will go to the next state. So the condition is satisfied for 0 power 1 and 0 power 2. Suppose in case if I have a 3 zeros, so input 0, the next in Q1 state, if I give input 0, it will go to the next state. In Q2 state, if I give input 0, it will go to the third state. So here also it reached the final states. So how many states that you are using? 4 states you are using. So now suppose condition 4 states, because the machine will not accept the 4 zeros continuously. So 0 0 0, and here it is 0 4 0. Here there is no final states, okay, because the machine will not accept the states. The next one, if I give 5 states, 5 input 0, that is in Q0 state, if I give input 0, it will go to the Q1 state, and in Q1 state, if I give input 0, it goes to the Q2 states. In Q2, if I give input 0, it goes to the Q3 state, and again if I give input 0, it goes to the Q4 state, and again if I input 0, it will go to the Q3, Q6, the last states. Okay, so 5 also accepted. So more than, there are 5 final states among 6 states, you can say 6. Okay, so the output is option D is the correct one. 5 final states among 6 states. See, 1 2 3. So 1 2 3 4 5. So totally you have how many states? 6 states you have. So 5 final states you are using. So it satisfies all the conditions of n greater than 0 and n is not equal to 4. Okay, so the now next one, it's this problem is related to the left recursion. So the equivalent production rules corresponding to the production rules: S production, S alpha 1, S alpha 2, beta 1 or beta 2 is S production. So here you are supposed to remove the left recursion. First, we should know what is left recursion. So, S is nothing but is a left hand side production, and these are all right hand side production. So, left hand side and right hand side, the first term, if it is equal, then you should remove this kind of left recursion. Okay, so now here this you don't have any problem. Beta 1 and beta 2 you don't have any problem, because left hand side is and right hand side you have beta 1 and beta 2. But when you come to these two productions, left hand side you have S and right hand side, immediately it starts with the same production. So like this kind of productions you are supposed to remove it. So that's why left hand side first production and right hand side same production, if you have, you are supposed to remove the left reduction. So before going to that problem solve, you just see the definition of left recursion. Okay, so here consider the A production of the form. A production, A alpha 1, alpha 2. Our problems looks like, right? So if you see this problem, you have S production, S alpha 1, S alpha 2, beta 1 and beta 2. Okay, so BI is not start with A. So these are all not start with A, but only this productions is starts with A. So you have to remove this kind of production by replacing the terms. So you have a direct formula here. A production, beta 1 A dash, beta 2 A dash. For A dash, you are applying alpha A1, alpha A2, etc. The last you have a epsilon. Okay, so now if you apply this formula, A production beta 1 A dash and A production alpha 1 A1, if you apply the productions, you will remove the left recursion. So now if you take, see here, A production A alpha I or beta I. So the given production is like this. So S production S alpha 1 S alpha 2 beta 1 beta 2. You are going to substitute A is equal to, what is A here? S. So what is A here? S. So for A is equal to S. So alpha 1, the next terminal that you are using is alpha 1. So here also you are using alpha 1. So alpha 1 is equal to alpha 1, alpha 2 is equal to alpha 2, beta 1 is equal to beta 2, and beta 2 is equal to beta 2. So now you are applying the formula A production beta 1 A dash, beta 2 A dash production alpha 1 A dash or alpha 2 A dash. Now, yes, for A you are supposed to substitute which one from this you take? For A you are supposed to substitute S. For beta 1, you are supposed to substitute beta 1. For A dash, there is no term here A dash. A is equal to S, then A dash is equal to S dash. So beta 1 S dash, or the next term that you are having is what? Beta 2. So beta 2 S dash. The next one, you are going to substitute the value for S dash. S dash production, what formula is here was alpha 1 A dash. So what is here alpha 1? Alpha 1 S dash or alpha 2 S dash or epsilon. Okay, so now you can write S dash production. For instead of S dash, you can mention is as what? A. So according to this problem, here your answer is what? B1 beta 2. So this one, the last one what you have, you are supposed to write it beta 1 and beta 2. So this one we derived from the left recursion. That means beta 1A, beta 2A. So that's what here it is given, beta 1. A is what here I told you, S dash is production A. So now beta 1 S. So beta 1 A, beta 2 A, comma, A production alpha 1 A, alpha 2 A, comma, lambda. So it removes the left recursion. So answer D is the correct one. The next one, so here the next one, LL grammar for the language. So L here nobody now the grammar is not given. You're supposed to generate the grammar for this particular language. Okay, so L already I just told you what is language. Language is nothing but is the alphabet derived from the alphabet symbols. Okay, so L is equal to AN BN C power n plus m such that m is greater than 0 and n is greater than 0. That means, so you're supposed to generate a derive a string. That means whenever the language is given a power n, b power n, c power n plus m, that means you can easily say that a power n, that means a2, b, b2, c, 2 plus 2 is nothing but 4. N is greater than 0, m is greater than 0. The next one, you are supposed to generate a rule for this production. Okay, so you have supposed to generate the rule. So the rule, if you take, so S production ASC. So if you for S, if you substitute S1, so you are getting what? B, C. For S1, you can substitute the lambda. For example, S production A, S, C. For S, I am substituting S1, C. The next one, A. For S1, I am substituting B, S1, C. Okay, so but here the condition is satisfied. So if you keep on substituting ASC, it will keep on going n number of loops. So that time this answer you will not get. So now if you take the same way for ASC, S1, for S1 if you substitute BS1C, there is no lambda here. It is keep on going BS1C, BS1C. There is no termination loop. There is no this. If you have a non-terminal symbol, suppose you should have a epsilon or one terminal symbol to stop this production. The second one also wrong. The third one, if you take ASC, S1 lambda. So here to stop this S, you are having what? Lambda option. But here the condition is A power N and B power M. You should go to the option of BS1. If it is keep on going also, there is a number of to stop S1, you have a lambda. So this the third one is the correct one. And if you take this one, ASC, so if you take this production ASC and you can stop that one using lambda, but there is no D value here. So this one also is a wrong. The exact correct one is S production ASC or S1 or lambda. So whenever the language is given, when you are supposed to generate the rules, you are supposed to it should satisfy all the conditions. So lambda should be there, and whenever you are generating a grammar, you are supposed to try with the small values, then the productions will be easily get that the productions you will get the string easily. When you are applying the productions, you will get easily satisfy the languages. Okay, so that's where here it is given. There is no way to end the cycle S1 B S1 C. So M is not satisfied here. N is greater than 0, M is greater than 0 in every condition. M is equal to 0, that condition is not satisfied. So same condition as A. So your option is C is correct. So the next new term that you are going to learn is here is homomorphism. First you should know what is homomorphism. So here the first we will go for the definition. The string homomorphism is the function on string that works by substituting a particular string for each symbol. For example, suppose you are going to substitute a particular string for each symbol. So S is equal to 0, 1. That means, so you are having a string 0, 1. So W is equal to 0, 0, 1, 1. So here you are giving a function h of 0 is equal to 0, 1. That is homomorphic of 0 is equal to 0, 1. And h of 1 is equal to 1, 1, 2. If L is equal to, that means language L is equal to 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. What is the homomorphic image of L. So you are supposed to find out the homomorphic image of L. H of W is equal to, so here H of W is equal to, here 0, 0, 1, 1. So now H of 0, H of 0, H of 1 and H of 1. So you have a value of H of 0 is equal to 0, 1 and H of 1 is equal to 1, 1, 2. So now you are supposed to substitute the value. H of 0 is equal to 0, 1. H of 0 is equal to 0, 1. H of 1 you are substituting 1, 1, 2. The next one, H of 1 you are substituting 1, 1, 2. So the string that you are getting H of W is equal to 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So the same way, language of homomorphic image. So that means L, H of L, that means L of 0, 0, comma 0, 1, 0 is equal to L of H of 0, 0, H of 0, 1, 0. So when you expand this one, L of H of 0, H of 0, comma H of 0, H of 1, H of 0. You are supposed to substitute the value of H of 0. H of 0 is equal to 0, 1. H of 0, 0, 1. H of 0, 0, 1. The next one, H of 1 is 1, 1, 2. H of 0 is 0, 1. So now we will just go to this problem. Consider summation is equal to W comma X. That means the input string that you are using here is, input alphabets that you are using here is, input symbol that you are using here is W comma X, and T is equal to X comma Y comma Z. You are defining the homomorphism H by H of X is equal to X, Z, Y, and H of W is equal to Z, X, Y, Y. Okay, so here given H of X is given, H of W is given. Okay, if L is a regular language denoted by R. So L is a regular language denoted by R is equal to W plus X star followed by WW whole star. Then the regular language H of L is given by. So now here you are supposed to find out the homomorphic of language. Okay, so now here it is given. See here, H of W. So the first one is H of W plus H of X star bracket, then followed by H of W, H of W whole star. Okay, so for H of W, you can substitute the value Z, X, Y, Y plus H of X star. That means H of X star is X, Z, Y whole star. Then you are having H of W whole star. So Z, X, y, y, z, x, y, y whole star. So your answer is zx, y plus x answer is this one. So now zx, yy plus xzy whole star multiplied by zx, yy, zx, yy. So your answer is this one. The next one. Which of the following derivation does a top-down passer use while passing an input string? So input is scanned from left to right. So normally it supports the leftmost derivation. So it is a direct question. So which of the following derivation does a top-down passer use while passing an input string? So input is scanned from left to right. So direct answer is leftmost derivation. So the next one is, given the following expression grammar, E production, E star F or F star E or F. F production, F minus F or ID. Which of the following is true? Star has higher precedence than plus, minus has higher precedence than star, and plus and minus have same precedence, plus have higher precedence than star. So your answer is B. See, look into this picture. So E, for E you can substitute E star F. So E production, E star F. So E star F. Okay. So the next one, for E, you can substitute the value F. So for E you can substitute the value F. The next one, for F, you can substitute the value F minus F, okay, because the input string that you are getting here is 3 star 4 minus 5. So now 3 star 4 minus 5. So according to that condition, so for E, F, so for F, you can substitute the value I. Here the ID is nothing but the variable, the terminal symbols. So for ID, you are just considering as a 3, and star is the terminal symbol, and F, you are dividing F minus F. So F, again you are just substituting the value ID, and minus F, again you are substituting the value ID. Okay, so when you are evaluating this one, so the first one you are going to derive it 4 into 5. So first minus will be evaluated, then star is evaluated, because minus has higher precedence. So whenever you're deriving this kind of pass tree, so you're supposed to go from the downwards. First it should execute, first you should execute the value of 4 minus 5, then only you are supposed to multiply with 3. So top, from the lower level, when you are deriving according to the tree, the precedence will be changed. According to this example, so minus 4 minus 5, first one minus will be evaluated, then star is evaluated. So minus has higher precedence than star. Okay, so now here assume the statement S1 and S2 given as S1 given a context-free grammar G, there exists an algorithm for determining whether L of G is infinite. S2 there exists an algorithm to determine whether two context-free grammars generate the same language. Which of the following is correct? Okay, so here given a context-free grammar G, so there is exist an algorithm for determining whether language of grammar is finite. So that means the condition is correct. So next one, there is an algorithm to determine whether two grammars generate the same language. So two grammars will not have the same language. So two context-free grammars have not the same language. So the first one, S1 is correct and S2 is not correct. Next one, context-free grammar or closure under union. Context-free grammars is not closed under union, concatenation and the complementation, clean star and union. So context-free grammar is not closed under the complementations. Okay, so concatenation, context-free grammar have a concatenation, union and the clean star, the complementation it will not support. We discussed a few things today. So mostly the 70% of questions you can expect in the context-free grammar part. So if you have any queries, you can ask me. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
In the chat box,
Yes,
wherein,
yes, that's.
yeah, how you got
Have you
SS?
got a SS? That's why I'm just searching the problem, ma'am. Wait. Here, this is the problem. Ma'am, here, according which of the following statement is or true? So here, the grammar is given S production SS or A. Okay, so you are supposed to prove that the grammar is ambiguous. You have to prove that the grammar is ambiguous or not. Okay, so here number of times when you are applying S production, SS. So when you are applying AA, it is a ambiguous only. So n number of times if you apply also the same way. So you can apply here left productions and the right production. The same answer only you will get it. So first time when you apply for this A, So you will get A else is the result. The next time when you are substituting for this one, you will get A. Then rightmost derivation when you are taking, you just start from this S, A. The next one, again you just go for the first S. Then you will get a same answer only. So the condition is true. Ma'am, Vinodina ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Ah,
Okay. No other queries, ma'am. Shall we end the session? There is no
yes
query.
ma'am. Yes ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Dhanamlar ma'am, for your
Okay.
informative session and for your continuous effort in taking the class. Thank you so much, ma'am. I will end the session.
Okay ma'am.